Into 4 behaviors that hurt a relationship. First one, ready for it? First one is whenever we engage in interruption. Now, I think this is a really good one because it highlights what happens during grade school, right? So we're kids, we are in elementary school, and the teacher says, "Raise your hand if you have something to say." And then if we don't raise our hand and we speak out of turn, what happens? It's rude, it's disrespectful. The teacher gets on us, right? We're on green. Green means we're doing good. All of a sudden, we're on red. So the same thing happens in relationships. I think sometimes we don't really think into that. Maybe we get eager beaver and we want to share something with our partner, so that could be the reason why we interrupt. But overall, here's what happens. Whenever we engage in interruption, right? Whenever your partner's speaking, and then your job right there is to listen, right? And then you decide to interrupt. A couple of things happen. One, it makes the other person feel that this person doesn't care, right? This person doesn't care about what I have to say. If they did, they would listen. They would take time. They would take time to listen. Number two, what happens is your partner may start to think, I'm not really going to waste my time here. Why would I waste my time sharing what I want to say, sharing my thoughts, my feelings, pouring my heart out, if all you're going to do is interrupt? And then number three, it could be a long list of reasons or items here. Number three is that interruption leads to a tick for tack situation, right? Because if I'm partner A and I'm sharing my thoughts and feelings with you, and then all of a sudden you interrupt, well, that's probably going to cause me then to jump right back and interrupt too. So the first thing that we want to avoid when it comes to a relationship is we want to avoid interrupting each other. And I share that one because I think it's a pretty simple skill for us to work on. If you need to, give yourself a little reminder on your phone that simply says, do not interrupt. And then over time, you'll start to reframe the mind, right? There's some good books out there, Rewire the Brain, check those out. But you start to reframe your mind. It really helps us to hone in on just working on me. Next one I want to look at is storming off. Storming off really hurts a relationship. So that's something that we want to avoid in our relationship. If you find yourself with your partner and they're sharing something, right? They're sharing something that you don't want to hear. Because that's usually when people storm off, right? People typically storm off when someone's saying some things, that we do not want to hear. We feel a little bit sensitive or provoked by. So then we're like, I'm storming off. What happens when you storm off? When you storm off, my friends, it makes the other person feel abandoned. It makes them feel like you're neglecting them. It makes them feel that there's not a safe space here. And I know that we can go into the dynamics there. What do we do? How do we address it? But for now, we're just going to touch on, we want to avoid that. We want to avoid storming off, because storming off leads to the other person feeling, A, feel abandoned. B, you're neglecting me in a way. 3, or C, it makes us feel that there's not a safe space. So more than likely, next time that I engage with you, next time that I share my thoughts, I share how I feel, or thoughts connected to the issue, I'm probably not going to do it because you may storm off. All right, number three area here to avoid when it comes to your relationship. This one has to do with focusing on the past and bringing that past right back into your relationship. And some of us do that. I've been known to do that. My partner has shared that with me. And it could be simple. It could be that we do it and we're like, I wish I didn't do it, but we did it. So we really want to avoid that. Example of that would be if I'm arguing with my wife about laundry, right? And she's saying, Juan, I asked if you could do the laundry and it's piled up and, what's going on here? And then I go into the past. I go into 2 years ago and I say, well, blah, blah, blah took place 2 years ago and that's why I didn't do it. Well, what's happening now is I'm combining two things. How are we supposed to address an issue if we're discussing two different things? So that's why that's one reason why we don't want to go into the past. We don't want to bring it up in a way that's going to damage or hurt the interaction or relationship that we're trying to have. It really impedes it. Next one we want to go into is unwillingness to be vulnerable. We really want to avoid that when it comes to a relationship. That hinders it right away. When you think about vulnerability, it's opening up and sharing your thoughts and feelings versus becoming distant. And then when you become distant, you're not sharing how you feel. Then your partner's there just trying to mind read, trying to guess. So that's where vulnerability can really hurt a relationship. If we don't take time to say, hey, here's the thoughts and feelings. I'm going to put them onto the table. We're going to talk about them. I'm going to be vulnerable. Right next to vulnerability comes a struggle to be accountable. Whenever we are not accountable in our relationships, right away it's going to hurt. And we see this where let's say that something took place in your relationship. The common example is, one of you dropped the ball on something, and then your partner, they say they want to talk, right? They want to speak with you, and they share how hurt they feel. They share that they feel hurt, and they feel alone, based on what took place, that area that the ball was dropped. But in that moment, you go, that wasn't me, that was you. Maybe you blame, but you lack accountability. Maybe you say things like, well, if you did blah, 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 then I wouldn't have to do blah, blah, blah. Well, my friends, no, there's no string here, right? There's no string controlling me. I'm pretty sure there's no string controlling anybody else out there. So that means that I've got to take ownership. I've got to be accountable. I'm agreeing to be a part of this relationship. And as agreeing, right, making that agreement to be in this relationship, there comes the expectation that I got to show up. And I got to show up with being accountable. Whenever I'm coaching or I'm engaging with couples, whenever that area is highlighted of accountability, I think it's important for us to make sure that we are avoiding that. Next one we want to go into is avoiding comparison. Trying to not compare yourself and your relationship to other relationships. Sometimes I hear this where a couple shares, well, I'm at work and I'm listening to all these conversations take place, and his wife is always there. His wife's got food on the table and she's not complaining. Why can't we have a relationship like that? Well, my friends, think about this. Your partner's hearing that. Do you think your partner's going to be like, wow, that's amazing. I'm glad you told me that. Now I know how to show up for you. Should know. No, that doesn't feel good. That hurts. There's a good quote out there. These aren't my words. Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison takes away that joy, right? Takes it away. So with your relationship, really consider, do you engage in comparison? If you do, more than likely it's going to take away some joy. It's going to hurt and hinder the relationship. So we right away want to go ahead and make sure we take that one out. Next one we go into is the action of minimizing what's taken place. We want to make sure we avoid that behavior there in a relationship when we minimize what interaction took place, what behavior took place. So an example of this, let's say that my wife, she's sharing with me that I didn't communicate with her during the day. She sent a text and she's like, hey, I just, I wanted to connect with you. And then I go, you know what? It's just one day. We got 365 days. Don't even sweat it like that. That's small. We got so many more important things in our life than just that. Well, my friends, even though there are 24 hours in a day, my friends, even though there's so many other important things going on, we got to think about the words that we use. If I engage in those words and I share with my partner that what she's bringing to the table, right? She's sharing hurt. She's sharing that she wants to connect with me. Isn't that what I'm here for in this relationship, to connect with her? And if I'm sharing with her that it's not that important, that we shouldn't be worrying about that, I'm minimizing. And I'm not just minimizing the issue. This is where we get a little bit lost here. I'm not just minimizing the issue. I'm minimizing her. I'm sharing with her, you're not important. And what you have to say is not important. So we want to make sure that we avoid that behavior there. Next one we want to go into when it comes to avoiding behaviors, this one has to do with avoidance of conflict. Avoidance of arguing, avoidance of fighting. Sometimes whether it's the way that we're bred, our upbringing or just our personality, we may not like conflict. So we maybe get really upset. I could be upset with my partner. Maybe my wife did something where, I don't know, she got home and left it really messy and it's bothering me. So now that it's bothering me, I'm becoming distant. Maybe I get really irritable. And instead of fighting, right? Fighting fair, of course, fighting fair. Instead of sharing my thoughts and feelings, I just avoid it. I put it under the rug and I get distant. I put a wall up. That right away hurts a relationship. It hurts a relationship because there's distance taking place. I'm not confronting what's happening. I'm not confronting the issue there. I'm not working on it. I'm not building, some growth there with myself, of course, and with my partner. So as you head off, I hope that you found these helpful. These here are behaviors that we do want to make sure we avoid in relationships. And there's many more. Of course, there's many more that we want to make sure that we avoid so that we're building a strong and healthy relationship. I like to think about relationship building just like any other category in your life, my friends. If you are a business owner listening to this, you've got categories that you're building on. If you're a parent listening to this, You've got that area of parenting that you're trying to become a better and stronger and healthier parent. Just a relationship with yourself. You're trying to love yourself and learn who you are more and more. All of that takes lifelong commitment. It takes work. I know that you can do it. I know that you can do it. You're watching this because you're trying to get maybe some tips, some hints. I hope that you found this video helpful. Like, subscribe, share it with any couple out there, anybody that you think will find it helpful. As always, thank you for spending time with me. I hope that you continue to live your life, you continue to smile, and have an amazing day.